The One Micronesia Podcast is brought to you by Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Half a day, guys, and we're back. One Micronesia Podcast, another week, another show. And remember, the show brought to you by Docomo Pacific. So here on the show with me today, honestly, I am super happy to just sit down, catch up. It's been a minute. I'm here with the sister, the one, the only, Cami Egurrola.
Half a day, Vic.
Thank you so much, Cami.
It's so nice to be back. It's so nice to be here.
Thank you.
And like I said, this interview, very my style. I love it.
Right, we're outside here. We got to shout out to the UOG for having us here, letting us just use their outside here, just to switch things up. I need the restrictions are being lifted, so might as well just get out there and just go back to doing what we used to do, kind of what a normalcy, some kind of. So, Cami, I think I got you on the podcast here. I mean, it's been a long time coming. We're both busy. Everything's been crazy during the pandemic, and I was like, you know what? You were always on the list, and I was like, today, and then with this beautiful weather, I'm like, why not? Let's get Cami on. Let's get to hear Cami's story. And if you don't know Cami, well, go search her up, because if everybody out there should know who Cami is. Started out as a dancer, and then model, and then now she's doing something amazing, not for only the people of Guam and the Marianas, but also for Micronesia. So we'll talk about that later on. But let's catch up. Cam, how you been doing?
So good, and it's so nice to see you again. Like, it's such a treat to see you twice in like the same month.
Right?
So this is sick, and AAPI month too. So that's awesome.
That's cool. Well, I'm glad you agreed to take the time and to share with us. So, Cami, every time I start, and I let the viewers know who I'm interviewing, and I kind of let them get to know them first before we get into the other stuff. So let's start with you. Let's start with how it all started for you. Was it dancing first? Was it modeling? Which one came first? Let's start there.
All right. Well, Hafade Zantiro, everyone. I'm Cami, as Vic said, and I'm super happy to be here. And to answer that question, it was the dancing that came first, for sure. I always start this story by saying that as a nanny, I was super energetic, and my mom didn't know what to do with me, so she put me in dance, and then from there, it just kind of snowballed after that. And I always credit dancing with Skip Entertainment Company as the foundation to how I was able to grow into myself and kind of find that confidence to speak in front of a camera and to be in front of a camera. And I kind of mentioned this before, but being in front of the camera kind of did influence that shift from going in front to behind. So I think as I'm getting older, I'm having even more fun being behind the camera and using my creativity in that way rather than being in front of it. But yes, dancing was the start. I didn't start thinking about that until I got older, but I do think that dancing was sort of that foundation for me when it came to, representing where I'm from and, having that pride in where I'm from. Like you said, every summer we would travel to different places and compete. And I think that's where my desire to rep Guam and to rep the Marianas really started. That sense of pride that you have for being from a small island and being from such a small place in the world, but having all of this talent come from this island. I mean, I cannot name how many dancers on Guam have such an influence in the larger dancing community. I do want to shout out Brian Esperon and Jay Cruz and the late Dom Cadiz. Those are just some off of the top of my head that I've worked with or that I've had the pleasure of knowing that really put Guam on the map. And just being in that scene, you're right, it does kind of expose you to the huge world that's out there, and it's such a crazy experience. We talked about how I started off in dance, but as I was getting older and in high school and then after high school, what really kind of shifted the tone for me was the ability to post dances online and to post to social media. I think that other than just performing for people on a stage, I really enjoyed the idea of sharing my passion and sharing my talent, and then being a part of something which Brian has laid that foundation for so many of us in Skip, and just being able to be a part of that is it's just so humbling, but I'm also just so grateful for it, because it's just given me so much opportunity. You know, both Skip and Brian, and the fact that those two are intertwined and they've been able to bring so much out of me creatively. It's just, I couldn't thank them enough.
That's awesome. Well, guys, we're gonna take a break, but when we come back, we're definitely gonna find out, how Cami went from becoming a dancer to a model, and then her career now, which is awesome. She's literally giving back to, like I said, not only Guam, but of course to Micronesia in ways to help in our environment. So we're back with that. You're watching the One Micronesia Podcast, being brought to you by Docomo Pacific. It's better together.
Need a new phone? Trade in now and get up to $500 off our best 5G devices. Trade in your older phone in any condition and step up to better savings and speeds only our 5G network can provide. Check out our website and catch up on the best mobile experience. Trade in now. Docomo Pacific, better together.
Building on the past, we at Docomo Pacific Business believe in helping businesses move forward and together, changing the way we get things done to make you and your company reach your highest potential. Trust in our commitment to bring you the best solutions for all your business goals. We are Docomo Pacific Business. Let's work better together.
Hey guys, we're still here, One Micronesia, with the one, the only, Cami Egurrola, my sister. Sis, man, it was nice. So, wow, it's crazy to kind of hear how it all started for you, the dancing, the competitions abroad. So at this point, I kind of want to start it here, because it's a shift from, you talked about it when we first started, like how you were the person in front of the camera to go to the back of the camera. So speaking in front of the camera, you were also with the dancing and everything, it kind of led you into modeling. So talk about that for just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a crazy story how everything happened, because it all happened one after the other. Mm-hmm. So just going back, like I started dancing when I was 3. I danced all the way throughout high school. I graduated at 16, and then right after that, I still wanted to dance, so I was teaching at Skip, and through that, I remember one day I looked in my DMs, and I got a DM from Uno magazine, which is like, oh my goodness, like Uno magazine, what do they want with me? But it was a DM about doing an article on the dance community on Guam, and I had the opportunity to shoot for the first time in a professional studio with Steve, and it quite honestly changed my life. Like, it was the first time I got to meet the ever so great Anna Vuki. Mm-hmm. She was on that shoot, and she was like directing me on that shoot, and through that, it kind of led me into the door with Uno and KUAM. I wanted to post more about Guam, so I bought like a small point and shoot camera, and I just started taking photos of everything as I was going on these modeling gigs. So as the modeling started, that's like when the seeds started to be planted with the photography. And then the great opportunity to actually start working with KUAM and working with Uno opened up, and I rode that wave, and I learned so much. I always credit like everything that I've learned about media and everything that I learned about photojournalism back to what I've learned at KUAM, and I did that for about a year, and just kept like trying to build a portfolio, trying to work with as many people as I can, and really getting any experience I can like under my belt. And also for KUAM, I remember like one of the coolest things I've ever done at KUAM was trend spotting. That was like a mixture of being in front of the camera and then doing the production of it after, and like the editing. And it, like I said, it really just opened the door for my creative like capabilities. I really found out that I had this creative bug in me other than just dancing and like modeling and being in front of the camera. Because modeling, I didn't realize how much of a difficult job it is. Like, shout out to all you full-time models. I couldn't do it full-time because I found myself like I didn't enjoy it as much as being behind the camera and directing the scene. And so kind of to round out the experience at Uno, like one of the things I did in the later part of being at Uno and KUEM was they allowed me to kind of revive the magazine in a digital way on Instagram, and that was my first experience ever doing a digital zine, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with curating the photo shoots, like looking out for subjects to photograph and writing the articles for them. And once I realized that I could do that, and I could, you know, really put all of the things that I love about being in front of the camera and apply them to producing things behind the camera, it kind of just took off from there. And then I think I was at like a point in my life where I needed to figure out things very quickly, and I needed to make that shift very quickly, and I kind of just like made the decision that, you know, I was going to do it full time, and I needed to at the time. So it was a now or never type of situation, and that's where we're at now. My like really good friend Francesca D'Oro, I worked with her on 2 Uno digital magazine articles, and we got super close through that, and I think a couple weeks into the pandemic, she was like, hey, I know you're not at KUEM anymore. There's this place called Micronesia Climate Change Alliance that is looking for a digital producer. Are you down? And I mean, that's it. The rest is history. Now we're here. I'm a digital producer for Micronesia Climate Change Alliance. I've done 2 web series with them, and continuing to do so much work with them and with the community.
Wow. So like I said, man, the storyline is there. It's like from that nanny girl who fell in love with dancing and then went in front of the camera to learning everything that you need to know to produce anything and everything when it comes to writing and producing and filming. And then now you're actually you took all of that and you're putting it into work, and you literally into something that really needs the attention, which is the environment, and what we should do to help, you know, keep our environment as healthy as possible. So let's talk more about that, and talk. You said you did a couple series with Micronesian, the Climate Alliance. So talk about some of the stuff you guys did there.
Yeah. So as I said, Francesca D'Oro and I produced a web series called From Our Nanas for Our Nennies. It's a web series that takes knowledge from our indigenous knowledge systems and our ancestors and tries to make it easily accessible for our nennies, for the future generations. Some of the concepts that we tackled are food sovereignty and our waste systems. And you know, through that process, we've been able to present to schools. We've been able to, so luckily, be on KUEM and have our web series on KUEM and provide that information to such a large audience. And take it to social media as well, and do some social media campaigns. You saw how vulnerable we were during that time, and I think the work that is important. Julian Uggin said it perfectly in his essay To Hell with Drowning. He said, more than science, we need stories. And to kind of round out like what we've been talking about, one thing that I've loved to do ever since I was Neni Cami was tell stories through dance, through photos, and that's something that's always stuck with me. And I think that definitely I agree with Julian, like that's something that we need more of, and that's a part of the work that I'm trying to do now.
That's awesome. Guys, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to find out what's next. What's next in store for Cami, what kind of projects that you got lined up. So we'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit. You're watching the One Micronesia Podcast. We're brought to you by Docomo Pacific. It's better together.
Need a new phone? Trade in now and get up to $500 off our best 5G devices. Trade in your older phone in any condition and step up to better savings and speeds only our 5G network can provide. Check out our website and catch up on the best mobile experience. Trade in now. Docomo Pacific, better together.
Building on the past, we at Docomo Pacific Business believe in helping businesses move forward and together, changing the way we get things done to make you and your company reach your highest potential. Trust in our commitment to bring you the best solutions for all your business goals. We are Docomo Pacific Business. Let's work better together.
Hafide, and welcome back. One Micronesia Podcast. We're here with Cami Egurrola. Cami, so wow, what a story. We found out how it all started for you, which is dancing. Went from that to being a model, and then from being a model to learning how to put together digital content, which means you shoot it, you write it, you edit it, all of that, and then now you are a digital content creator for Micronesian Climate Change Alliance.
Wild ride.
So, Cami, let's talk about it. You talked about the projects that you did already. So let's talk about the future. There's still a long way to go here in 2022. Things are opening back up. More opportunities are opening back up as well for content creating and in coverage. So let's talk about some of the future products you guys got in stores.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, after the web series came out and after we kind of went through that whole process of promoting it and going to schools and doing some outreach for it, we really saw that there's a need for creating a foundation for digital storytelling here in the Marianas and in Micronesia. You know, telling, like I said, we need to tell the stories of where we're from, no matter how intricate or how, what seems normal to us, like backyard kitchen style stories, just talking story like what we're doing now, how needed it is when it comes to climate justice and when it comes to environmental justice. I'm still learning so much about the environmental justice movement, but something that we at Micronesia Climate Change Alliance can all agree on is that the thing that is most impactful when it comes to taking action and to creating change is inspiring others and empowering voices. And so for us, we want to empower Micronesian voices. We want to empower people from the Marianas to tell these stories. And so through that, they've given me the wonderful opportunity to start and facilitate and mentor a digital storytelling program called Kulu, which is insane. This is the first year we're doing it. We have 15 members. We've partnered with Humanities Guahan, and we couldn't do it without Humanities, and we couldn't do it without Guam Green Growth with the UOG Center of Island Sustainability. And so they've been, really helpful with giving us the space and creating space for us to create this little community of creatives like on Guam. And I'm like speechless right now because I can just talk for hours about this, but just seeing how we've been able to group these creative people together and the stories that are coming from them and the different perspectives and the creativity that's been flourishing from this has just been so rewarding for us. And it really is just so powerful to see that these young minds are wanting to create more stories about where they're from. We have a Kulu member who's from Pohnpei. We have a Kulu member who's from Saipan. And, so many Kulu members that have grown up and have been born and raised on Guam and just have so much pride in their island and are ready to take it to the next level and create films and create photo galleries of where they're from and just take pride in it. And so
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is, wow.
It's a lot. I'm sorry.
No. I remember you telling me this at our other shoot, and we didn't really get into it. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to sit back with you, because I knew you had so much. You were so proud of this program that you were given to kind of facilitate and kind of guide towards whatever they want to do. You guide them through that. And like I said, like when you talk about the different Kulu members, it also brings me back to those days inside that UNO office when there was so many content creators and so many ideas.
Right.
So like one person can have one idea, but when you have like 12, 13, 16 people working in one room, we're telling stories left and right. And I think that's exactly what we need. And a program like that is just an awesome way.
And another thing about it too that I really love is that we've been able to, get help from other mentors on Guam and the Marianas too, that are such like pillars in the creative space here. So we have Tomas, Tomas Manglotnya, a fellow KUAM pal, and you know, he's a journalist within the Marianas, Tinian, Saipan, Rhoda, and Guam. So it's great to see that Marianas perspective and to bring it into the project. And then also we have Tony Azios, who does the other podcast, Memoir Specifica. There you go, Memoir Specifica.
I've had him on the other podcast too.
Yes, and he's amazing, and the stories that he's been able to gather as both a director and as a podcast producer is just incredible. And to have those voices also be mentors to this group of creatives, it's insane. I'm really excited to what's to come after it as well. And we're at the end of our program. It ends in June, so June 30th is our culmination event. We're having it at the G3 Makerspace area, so it's going to be insane. We're going to have galleries, we're going to have showings for the films that they've made. It's going to be an event, and you're invited. So
I will be there. And I will be there to cover it for KUAM, and really just to tell the people, you know, like, there's so many stories, and you keep reiterating it every single time we talk and every single time we meet. You know, there's so many stories here in Micronesia that needs telling, and a program like that is just for that specific reason, to just tell our stories.
Oh,
good stuff.
Thank you.
Mossy.
Thanks.
Guys, we're going to take a break and we'll be back. And then when we come back, it's the last words, comments, and where you can find Cami and follow her program as they continue to do amazing things. So we're back here watching the One Micronesia Podcast, been brought to you by Docomo Pacific. It's better together.
Need a new phone? Trade in now and get up to $500 off our best 5G devices. Trade in your older phone in any condition and step up to better savings and speeds only our 5G network can provide. Check out our website and catch up on the best mobile experience. Trade in now. Docomo Pacific, better together.
Building on the past, we at Docomo Pacific Business believe in helping businesses move forward and together, changing the way we get things done to make you and your company reach your highest potential. Trust in our commitment to bring you the best solutions for all your business goals. We are Docomo Pacific Business. Let's work better together.
Hafide, and we're back. The last part of the podcast, the saddest part, because we get to say our last words and then our goodbyes, but it's never goodbye with me and Cami, because Cami's doing amazing things, and we get to see her down the road when her program is done, and when they put out so many content, we'll bring it back on. We'll talk about the different content that they got. But Cami, for the last part of it, you know, message to people who followed you, and at the same time followed you from your dancing career to your modeling career, all the way through to your digital content creating career, which is literally at the Micronesian Climate Change Alliance. So message to those who have followed you through and learned so much as, you know, the journey goes on.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cliche, and I'm sure so many people have said it on this podcast before, but keep creating, you know, keep pushing forward. We need to be resilient when it comes to creating content for and creating art towards the climate justice movement. So we need to be resilient in our cause, and we need to be, you know, always pushing forward and trying to, you know, be the best community member we can, to be the best islander we can, to be the best daughter or son we can, or you know, just keep pushing forward, keep creating content, because like you said, and like I said so many times, we need it. We need all the stories we can get. Keep talking story, if anything. Keep talking story, that's it.
Keep talking story. Hey, do it. Talk as much as you want, but talk anything and everything Micronesia. Let's tell the world who we are, and I think that's exactly ways that we can do it.
Exactly.
So Cami, for those who might just finally get to know you on the podcast here, they want to follow you, where can they follow you, and where can they follow Micronesian Climate Change Alliance?
Well, you can follow Micronesia Climate Change Alliance on Instagram and on Facebook at Micronesia Climate Change Alliance or Micronesia Climate Alliance. And we have so much great content on there about the regenerative economy that is here on Guam, and about climate change. And then to follow me, I'm on Instagram at CDEGURROLA. It's not egg and it's not roll. So yes, always have to clarify with that one.
I know, and it's even in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Or you took it out. It was in the bio one time.
Yeah, it was in the bio one time, but as we get more professional, we have to, keep it to what we do. But yes.
Wow, Cami, the talk has been amazing. Thank you so much again for catching up and literally letting the people know, what you've been up to and just what your work and everything is just amazing. It's just giving back to the community. That's one way to do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Sign of Aussie, dude.
Thanks, sis.
Thank
all right,
you.
guys. That pretty much wraps up another One Micronesia Podcast. We'll catch you guys on the next one. My name is Victorious, and all I got to say is peace.
The One Micronesia Podcast is brought to you by Docomo Pacific. Better together.